Hello and welcome to part 4. This section we're dealing with service branding. So services which are in the main intangible and delivered in real time, the brand takes on added importance in that it acts as a proxy for what and how the service will be delivered. So we've already talked about the intangibility of services and how you can't separate the production of service with the consumption of service, so it happens in real time. Branding becomes more important because you can't really observe or evaluate the product beforehand. Excuse me. So it kind of represents a promise. The brand is people's assurance that the service that they're paying for is going to be delivered at the standard that what they expect. Now, to give you an example of this, if you book airline tickets with Qantas, you're paying more than if you're going to fly with Virgin Australia. So you would be already expecting a better service from Qantas than Virgin, right? But you haven't actually had that service yet, so you've got no other way to know other than the brand, right? So ultimately the brand resides in the mind of consumer, which is a key thing for us as marketing. We're always trying to get in the heads of our customers, and we can develop what we think our brand is worth, or what it's about and what their values are, and often that's important so we can communicate that to the customer. But at the end of the day, we don't set what they think our brand is. It's up to them to determine what they think of our brand. So a brand is a perceptual thing, so customers perceive us, and it's based in reality but reflects the experiences, differences, and thus perceptions of the customers. And this is really important for us to comprehend. It's not actually what happens to our customers, and it's not our side of the story, it's how they perceive what's going on. So you could be doing all the right things, but if you're not communicating that clearly to your customer, and if they're not perceiving it the way that you want to, there's going to be a gap. And we will be dealing with the ServQual model, which is effectively ServQual short for service quality model, and we look at the gaps. And one of those big gaps is between the customer's perceived service, the customer's perception of service, and our perception of the service. So brand champions, so they're familiar with and responsible for shaping every aspect of the customer's experience. These can be really good. Now basically, brand champions can be customers, and they telling you how they feel about your brand, right? And that's good for us because that's information that we need to improve, right? So we've got a services branding model. So at the end, it ends with brand equity, and brand equity is effectively the value of our brand. So we've got in here the company's presented brand, so how we communicate that, the external brand communications, so obviously those two link together quite well. Customer experience with the customer, so and often customer experience with the company. After CX, customer experience is a growing importance in marketing. So the company's presented brand, so how they show themselves and how they communicate that, links to brand awareness. The external brand communications, the communication and the experience form brand meaning. So you might be aware of something. So I could just ask you about any old random brand. So if I ask you just say about Galaxy phones, you might be, I'm aware of it, but what does that mean to you? Does it mean anything to you? And then, so both awareness and meaning come together for brand equity. All right, now we've got branding alternatives. So I'm going to quickly go through these. The branded house, so this is where an organisation applies its brand to multiple offerings in unrelated fields. We've got sub-brands, so the master brand is used as the frame of references. And a good one is like Toyota Hilux. So Toyota is a brand and Hilux is a brand. Toyota Prius. Toyota is a brand, Prius is a brand. So the main brand is Toyota, the organisational brand. The sub-brands are the different lines of categories of products, right? Endorsed brands, so the product brand dominates, but the corporate brand is still used. In there, and that's like my electric guitar is it's Stratosphere, but it's endorsed by Fender. So Fender's actually a really good brand, so they're endorsing it, which is on my guitar, which I'm not very very good at guitar, so I don't have a very expensive guitar. So, but the fact that it's endorsed by a really good brand of guitar means something to me, and a lot of customers too, obviously. And we've got House of Brands. So each product has its own brand. So in here we've got the Virgin one, and you can see there's a whole house of brands in there, right? So they're all got their own brands. Whereas I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but Procter and Gamble have a whole heap of different fast-moving consumer goods, and they've all got different brands. A lot of people don't even know that they belong to Procter and Gamble. All right, now we've got branding alternatives. So we've got corporate branding on one end of this spectrum. We've got individual product branding on the other one, and this comes from Brand Architecture and Services, example of Retail Financial Services, Journal of Marketing Management. In here we've got branded house such as the Virgin Group, sub-brands such as Raffles Class at Singapore's Airlines, which some of you might not know, but you can Google that. Endorsed brands such as Starwood Hotels and Resorts, and then House of Brands such as Yum Brands. And I'm going to go back a slide now. This is the Yum Brands one, and look how many there are in there. And I'm pretty sure most people haven't actually heard of Yum as a brand, because it's like a organisation. It's like at the top of the organisation that owns heaps of other brands. But I'm sure most of you would have heard about, like Coca-Cola and Mars bars and stuff like that. So yeah. Right, that's the end of our lecture for this week. Thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you in the online workshops or face-to-face workshops.